session on international webinar, especially focusing on advancing the digital technology in mobility and smart city, an issue that is becoming more and more critical every day. Okay, in era of the COVID-19 pandemic, the government awareness to accelerate digitalization in the government system with integrated programs can be equitable and cost-effective in monitoring COVID-19 cases. Even the world of education technological demands move quickly. The service and learning system in school or university is changing from offline to online. Of course, this must be awareness to grow a smart campus system. So the discussion of this webinar needs to be listened to carefully. This webinar is organized by Study Program Smart City IT and International Office Universitas Tunas Pembangunan Surakarta in collaboration with International Faculty of Kyungdong University, South Korea. As for the structure of the event this afternoon is follows. First, opening. Second, opening remarks by rector. Third, the presentation from the speaker. Fourth, question and answer session. And the last, closing. Okay, the rule of webinar, audience must mute microphone. If you want to ask question, you can write in chat box or you use raise hand in facility Zoom meeting. Okay, and please don't leave your seat until the webinar ends. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let us welcome our dear Rector, Professor Dr. Insinyur Tresna Priyana Sumardi, SAMS, give the opening remarks. The time is yours.
Thank you, moderator. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon. Stay safe and healthy. And best wishes for all of us. And may we all always be in the protection of God, who rules all the world. And let us say praise and gratitude to God, the Almighty. We are given the opportunity together, even though virtually due to the pandemic, in the gift of good, safe, and healthy. I gratitude our distinguished guests and speaker from Kyungdong University in Sokcho, South Korea, Professor Ahmad Al-Absi, PhD. He is expert in the field of smart computing in Kyungdong University. And my appreciation to young lecturers and researcher, Mr. Ikwan Baidrowi Samafta, Master in Computer, and Ms. Ferawati, Master in Computer, who will conduct as a speaker and also as moderator. I really appreciate your participation. And dear Chief Executive of UTP, Vice Rector, Dean, Vice Dean, Head of Study, program who attend in this webinar. Dear all participants, ladies and gentlemen. The development of ICT and digital transformation to realize Industry 4.0 and Society 5.0 is no exception to the realization of smart cities in various developed cities of the world. The Indonesian government has also announced that it will build about 100 smart cities in Indonesia. Of course, it is a giant project that will create economic, social, and environmental development with high added value, so as not to be trapped as a middle income per capita country. Indonesia should turn into a high income country in the near future. The government of a city creates at least 3 important things. That is housing, transportation, and employment. Of course, there will be other aspects also important, but the 3 main problem is very important. I emphasize in this webinar. That's about housing, transportation, and employment. For current job opportunities, not only large companies, but small and medium enterprises have developed because they are supported by such advanced ICT development, and large, medium, and small companies must be well connected with the urban job seekers community. What connects we see between job seekers and the existence of websites to get job opportunities, and it's all connected with companies to obtain further and detailed information. All paperless, mobility dropped drastically, very efficient. Job seekers can send the requested document from anywhere. They are all related to realizing a society 5.0, or we call the smart economy. Smart cities should also realize smart transportation. How ICT support realizing it all? ICT as the backbone in intelligent system or smart system. Then we will attend this webinar and will gain knowledge from the speakers. Thank you very much to all organizing committee who work smart and make this webinar happen. Thus, this webinar entitled Advancing Digital Technology in Smart Mobility and Smart Cities is declared open. Thank you for your attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for that inspiring message, Prof. Tresna. Okay, furthermore, the first presenter by Professor Ahmed Al-Abzi, PhD. For audience, don't leave your seat, please. Okay, the time is yours. For Prof. Ahmed Al-Abzi.
So thank you, Professor Vera. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh to all of you.
Recording in progress.
Honorable President, Rector, Professor Tresna Sumardi, and my colleague speakers, Professor Ikwani and Vera Wati, and also the organizer who've been in touch with me, Professor Yafi, and my dear colleagues and students in UTB, Indonesia. For today, the focus of the presentation is more into the data analytics and decision making. Are you able to see my slides now? Can you see my slides? Okay, so I assume I didn't receive any feedback from you yet, but I assume everything is okay. Although the focus of the webinar into mobility smart cities, but I felt the source of all this technology nowadays is the data. So if you don't have data, you cannot understand the story, you can't understand what's going on the situation, or you cannot discover the insights, or you cannot have a depth understanding of the problem. So it all starts with the data. So focus of this will be on data analytics and how you can build a decision making. Data anyhow, it comes from anywhere. So whether you're in smart cities, bioinformatics, medicine, economics, business, any field, no one cares about it. Point is, you have data, how you make sure you really understand it and come out with the best insights and come out with a decision. So this decision, whether it is in the personal level or it is government level or whatever projects you're working on. So I thought just to share with you before I go into the details, the beautiful campus where I am in right now, Sokcho City. So this is where I'm staying right now here. And this is the different buildings, a different view, okay, from the beach, in fact, 5 minutes from here. So I hope students, my colleagues and management also can have a visit to us very soon after the COVID-19. And as you know, we have 3 campuses. Global campus, which is a home for international students, more than 1,000 international students. But again, we do have another 2 campuses in different cities for Korean studies and another Korean medium of instructions. All right, so back to the point of the discussion of today, which is about the data. So when it comes to talk about data, usual we are talking about analytics, but in fact, let's go back a little bit on what is the data. So data, we start always with just about anything that is just about fact, but doesn't give you any meaning. So then when you put it in a good context, in a very good form, it gives you some kind of meaning, then it becomes information. So this information, when you have information in a good meaning, in a good format, that's where you can take a decision. So once you understand this, then it becomes the knowledge. And once you apply it in a very good application, in a very good scenarios, that way you reach to the wisdom. And that's why nowadays, as Professor Trisna said, moving into smart economy. Nowadays, we move also into knowledge economy, not just smart economy, because whether you have resources or you don't have resources, you start with the data, with an idea, basic things, how you can put it into business, how you can generate money with knowledge, with an idea, put it in a good context, put it in good format, come out with a prototype, study the market, and do the business and start getting a revenue. So this is the new direction nowadays. It is going towards having a knowledge economy. We should not be depending more into resources to build our economy. And the core of this is again data. And this is in fact the direction. So if you look into us, whether we are users, customers, or whoever we are, we deal with data. Data is around us. Whether you're in social media, look into the Facebook, Twitter, emails, how many things you do, your banking nowadays, things you are in entertainment, all these are things around us nowadays. So we moved, frankly, from the position where a long time ago, we used to just go to specific organizations where they have computers. They are the one who have data and the computers, and they produce data. So just specific employees, let's say you want to do bank transaction, you have to go to the banks. Banks, they are the only one who have the computers, they generate data, they make transactions. But now we moved into customers level, into users level. We can generate transaction by mobile, right? We can do it ourselves. So we start generating data. We moved from specific people to also individual who generate data. Now, the latest trend is machine itself generating data. Whether it is the sensors or cameras or all these are producing data and give a lot of insight. This produces a new phenomenon. We start not calling it data, we call it big data. Huge amount of data. Out of sudden, we felt we got stuck and overwhelmed with huge amount of data that we cannot control. Because everything about us, around us, is generating data. Look into ourselves 10 years ago. You have a mobile, maybe just 32 gigabytes is more than enough for you, right? You have a computer, which is 250 or 512 gigabytes is more than enough. Now we are hungry for data. We need all devices to be able to compute huge amount of data. So we are generating data. How we can solve this problem, or what's happened out of sudden? It's in fact, we have this new phenomena, what we call it big data, which any data that you cannot handle beyond our capability, we call it big data. So as an exact definition, in fact, for the definition, where it is, this is what we think we know. You know, it's like an iceberg. You see, you think you have the data with you, but you see here, what is hidden is a lot of data that is we don't know how to control. And when we talk about data, in fact, we talked about data that is very big in terms of scale, because huge amount of data. We talk about megabytes, gigabytes. Now we talk about terabytes. We talk about also yottabytes and gigabytes, zettabytes, right? So not just about in terms of size, in terms of volume, we talk about variety of the data. So the data itself, it comes in very structured form, which is in terms of table and column, or kind of unstructured form, like the things that you write down in your Twitter or in Facebook. This is unstructured data. So its data is available, but it's our duty to make sure what is going on that. Velocity, look into the amount of data that we start producing nowadays comparative to 3 years, 5 years, or 10 years ago. Huge amount of data. You generate about, you look into how many videos or pictures you upload into Facebook or in Twitter, or you send emails comparative to 10 years ago. This is a new phenomenon, and that's where the phenomena started of having an era, we call it the era of big data. And also the veracity, because in talk about veracity is the data is coming, even you have a data, but we have to make sure this data is precise, in very good shape, and we can be able to come out with good insights and decision. So the point of, once you have huge amount of data, we want to make sure we don't miss opportunities. Like what we do nowadays. You have huge amount of data. If you are selling some products to customers, you want to make sure these promotions or these sales, it reach to the customers on the right time. If you talk about smart cities, traffic management in smart cities nowadays, how you can make sensors, how you can predict where will be the roadblocks, where will be the conjunctions, where things will be ahead of the time. So you can analyze all these data, let it send information to the travelers ahead of the time, so they can turn right or left before they carry on their way. So it's all about giving them the right information in the right time with the right place. So it's very, very challenging, in fact. Same thing with the healthcare nowadays, IoT, sensors, everything is connected to the internet. So it's very challenging. So we moved nowadays with this new phenomena now from just few companies who are in charge of generating and handling this data into all of us, including machines who are generating the data. So this is the model that is the shift of this data. So this generated huge amount of data. And this is the latest statistics, in fact. If you ask what is the new population of the world nowadays, of course, we know China is dominated the world population with 1.4 up to today. That's followed by India. But in fact, the real population nowadays is Facebook. Facebook is number one because Facebook has 2.8 billion users, virtually, of course, but they are users, we cannot ignore them. So are they dominating the population of the world? So a lot of things, a lot of traffic now again in the internet is going, it's happening. Huge amount of data is scaled up. And the amount of data that we moved from just talking about gigabyte, terabyte, petabyte to zettabytes and yottabytes, you know, huge amount of data. So it's our duty now to make sure how we can analyze this big data and make sure we not just have the data, we store it there and just come out with the basic decision. Because again, remember, when we do analytics, or what the companies, most of the companies do, you collect a lot of information, but when you ask ourselves, do we really analyze this data? Are we really analyze it and come out with the best insights of the data that we have? Because remember, you are paying a lot of maintenance for servers, you are paying a lot of money for the, you know, looking after the locations, and it costs a lot of money. And the data keep increasing. You know, I'm talking here about yottabytes, it's almost around 28 zeros. It's a very huge amount of data. And this data now, as we said, no matter what, we don't care, it comes from different fields. We talk about bioinformatics, genome, our genome in our human body, it just consists of text data, right? So TGNAC. If you talk about weather forecasting, you have to look into more one, collect to do the prediction of the data of any situation with the weather forecasting. You have to look into the air pressure, you have to look humidity, the wind direction, you look into the air pressure, right? All these factors, you collect them through the sensors, then you can have a more accuracy on taking a decision by looking into the data. Same thing with the medicine, same thing with the astronautics, where the satellites that keep you know, going around the Earth all the way, monitoring the weather situation and sending very huge amount of satellite pictures to Earth about the results and what's happening. So it's all about data and what type of effort we do with the data. Are we doing good with it? Do we really look into this data seriously and take decisions? That's what we have to check and make sure we really focus on nowadays. And there is a scenario, in fact, unfortunately happened in 2012, where there was 6 Italian seismologists who are just monitoring Earth. They have been watching and monitoring so many tremors is happening in one city in Italy. So the system or the data already was trying to tell clearly that there will be very soon an earthquake, very high possibility that earthquake will be happening and might hit the city. Of course, now as seismologists, they have at least to call for evacuation. So the system never failed and data never lied. It was trying to say the real situation of what's happening on real time. Unfortunately, the seismologists, they ignored the data, what it's trying to say, and decided to take it as easy. Earthquake happened, so many people died, and of course, in front of people's eye, they are the one who is in charge of this disaster, because they could have saved people. So point is, we have accurate data. The data nowadays becomes very accurate. You have very good computation power. We have computers, we have data. Do you really understand what this data is trying to us? Each data is trying to tell us a story. Whatever is the field is this, where data comes from. So confidence on the data and computing, that is what we are supposed to do. And the point is, we have nothing to lose, because if you look at it with the phenomena of data and big data, the size of the hard disk and storage becomes very cheap. 10 years ago, we talk about, okay, it costs you to have a storage to store huge amount of data, right? You talk about here in Amazon, if you buy around, what is the stage, 1 terabyte, it was $500 long time ago. But now we're talking about $40, $50. Very cheap to have, to store the data. So we have no reason to say, we cannot manage or handle or process this huge amount of data. Moreover, not just in terms of hardware, we talked about software. The software that is available to handle and process this huge amount of data, like big data, is available for free. It's an open source. Example of that, Hadoop, MapReduce, and Spark. They're all open source. You can use them. So there is nothing can stop you from not to manage the data. Okay, so it's all about what is the insights. It's up to you. Are you really serious into looking into this to come out with accurate decisions? You are the chef. You are the one who try to look into this data, cook it, come out with something that's really meaningful and come out with a decision. And I'm sure if I give the same data to each and one of you, everyone will come out with a different understanding, with different decisions. So this is the point. This is the beauty of the nowadays with the phenomena of the big data. So with less data becomes very powerful. And it's not about just we saying about resources and generating money. Is about how you can understand hidden things. Data, there is a lot of things that is the data. We are a bit behind, and we could have learned a lot if we just little bit got dirty and stepped into digging into this huge amount of data and try to understand what the data is trying to tell. So that's why in a lot of projects and a lot of investment is going nowadays on understanding the data. So data is power. It's about economies nowadays, countries. They don't have any resources, but they are doing good. South Korea, what they do is they just about idea. Anyone has an idea, they look at it. What is the possibility of developing this idea? They look into it. There is no resources. They try to develop the application, to put it into a prototype, to test the usability of it. They make sure there is a good feedback. They have all this data, everything is connected, everything, there is a system for it. Then they have they can come out with the feasibility of the situation very fast. And they can go into the emerging markets also very soon. So it's about how you can reach to the people in the right time, right place, with the right situation. So data is power. So this is what is this situation is about. And of course, it involves a lot of analytics, different type of analytics, not just looking into the historical data. You can look into the present situation, what is going on right now, and you can predict the future, what will be happening. And even if you don't know what will be happening, the system now becomes the algorithms, artificial intelligence, machine learning. They are there to tell you what you are supposed even to know to do in the future. So robots becomes able nowadays to take decisions than human being. We are talking about even a robot to replace a judge. Now we go to McDonald's, you don't deal with people anymore. There is no desk anymore. There is a machines, everything through the systems. So it's how you can bring this basic information, basic data that you have as a resources, baked it in a project, come out with a decision, which of course reflects always in money. Sometimes it's not always data should generate money from a data as a profit or as a business. Sometimes just understanding the situation better is still a profit. So this is one of things that is going nowadays. And that's why a lot of factories, a lot of companies moving aggressively nowadays into having a very good business intelligence. Looking into the data, they aggregate it, make sure they put it into very big resource, data warehousing, whether it is data structured or unstructured, they make sure they have the tool to visualize, because you are talking about huge amount of data. You cannot understand it by first glance, right? Unless like you visualize it. So Tableaus, all these are software, again, they are very free and open source. So why not? What stops us from understanding this any situation, unless like we look into this data, so we come out with the accurate decision. So decisions nowadays is all about providing it in the right, with the right information, with the right time, in the right format, for the right place, right? So this is what we all do, and nothing to worry about it. Technology becomes very advanced, very mature even. It can tell you what is going on. So nowadays you talk about different type of analytics. Everything, of course, back to the source, a combination, intersection of different fields, different interdisciplinary fields. Statistics, machine, computer science, data mining, language, all these are together. They produce a new phenomena, and the foundation is already there. You want to understand your history, you can do that with the descriptive analytics. You want to do the predictive analytics, understanding the future, the technology is already there. You don't know what to do. Even if the system is telling you what will happen, you still don't know what to do, then still system can tell you what to do with the prescriptive analytics. Now, technology becomes mature, but where is the problem is? We are not equipped, we don't equip ourselves right now with the technology. Smart, of course, technology, computer will be smarter than us, which is it's completely wrong, because we human, we are the one who developed the computer. If you find CEOs nowadays, we realize now maybe there is no need, in fact, for CEOs, because what they do, you look into the data. What is the problem? A computer machines can look into huge amount of data, can build it up and come out with decisions more faster than that. Giving highlights, giving trends, giving indicators for things that is going wrong, what is going right. All this can be managed and programmed. So we are talking about replacing human being now. So it's that's why we need people right now who are really equipped themselves to deal with technology, deal with the data, deal with being very good to understand what this system is trying to tell us. Back to the problem of the systemologists. System is trying to send indication. If you fail to understand what the system is trying to say, you don't know what to take decision. You're taking wrong decisions. So how we understand all this, again, by equipping ourselves with the right information of having a very good understanding of the data and the data analytics and big data. And the good news is there is a lot of good demand for it nowadays. There is a lot of so many job opportunities. Demand for them, what we call it data, because it's a data, big data. There is a new positions, new job. We call it data science. It's a new field, which have a lot of just people who are wherever you come from. No one cares. You should not be computer science. You can be from statistics, from business, from marketing. You have a data. Point is how you can analyze this data, how you can understand it. Tools is already there. It becomes a black box. You can just know how you should know how to be able to use it. If you are more to involve more in developing the algorithm and the accuracy, that's you can step on from the computer science to do it more. But everyone can understand and analyze the data by being in as a data scientist. And if you look into the statistics, more than 30% of the jobs nowadays is growing and demanding for the data science. Okay, so many the job ranking in terms of all positions, data science was #3 in 2020. The salaries is one of the top high salaries nowadays in US and in many countries already for data scientists. Companies, they are involving a lot of projects, government, everything, because we have data. There is a huge amount of data we don't know what to do with it. So a lot of projects is involving on a big data, and we need data scientists to really get dirty and really go deep into this data and come out with good insights so it can reflect in good decisions, whatever is this decision is. So if you look also in the LinkedIn, in fact, for the recent job positioning, if you see 3 times the job posting nowadays are more into the data science comparative to the basic normal jobs that what people are searching for. So there is huge amount of data, and there is a lot of shortage again on the skills of data scientists. And that's, I think, what is the new direction of whether universities, academia, industry, meeting the demands of the industry, what they look back, what they want, reflect back in the academia. Our curriculum must be focused on preparing our young generation to be focused onto these directions so they can complete each other from statistics, from mathematics, from computer science, from business, all fields together. And again, data, who cares? Data comes from more than one source of information. They never come from one source. It comes from, you can apply it in any way. You want to optimize, you can do the optimization. You want to understand the behavior, you can do that. You want to understand market and segmentation and what customers they like, what they don't like, you can do that. You can do kind of prediction till knowing what will with the situation of a company, or talking about the future. The forecasting prediction is also already possible nowadays. The pricing, stock market, whether it is security, industry, all these are again all cases have been proved, and there is so many books and so many use cases that already share their real life case of how they really utilize and how far they really jump into getting a lot of revenue from having this data. Same thing, T-Mobile, they understanding your loyal customers and what type of products, what type of plan, how you can reach them in very fast. That's again our duty. Look into Nokia. Who can imagine Nokia, who dominated the world for the mobile industry for a long time, will be kicked out of the market, out of sudden? Because if they fail to find, because very soon in the early times, we have the smart keyboard, smartphones. It was already there. There is technology was there. trends of people, but their feedback or their understanding, people will still like something very easy, very simple. They fail to understand and predict the situation. Disaster happens. So companies, small companies, startup companies start developing themselves, coming up with the Android, and they adapt it. Now, very soon they find themselves, they have no place on the market anymore. All this because they failed in looking into the data, understanding the situation. Same thing, purpose. MasterCard, understanding behavior of their shopping and what they like, what they don't like. Whether the banks, understanding their credits and what type of transaction they do. With the Shell also in the oil and gas, petroleum, analyzing artificial intelligence and having a lot of the industrial. Now we talk about the Industry 4 and Industry 5.0. All these are part of analyzing and using and utilizing big data to make sure they really generate revenue, put them all into one place, and improve the system and our capability of dealing with any problems. So look into our Amazon and Netflix. What they do is, again, they really understand what we like, what we don't like more than us. When you go to buy any product, they are telling you this, if you buy this, we are sure we definitely know you will be liking another product. And now what Netflix is trying to do is they invested $1 million US just to improve the algorithm, because they have money. They don't want to, if you know specific, if you so one like a comedy movie, another one like fiction movie, and another one like let's say romantic movies. So they don't want to just send romantic movies to someone who like action movies. They just want to make sure, because it's a lot of performance, a lot of money they put into their advertisement, that they want to make sure send the right advertisement to the right people, so they make sure they really enjoy it, and you make sure you have a very good viewers. Doesn't make sense you put a lot of advertisement to ring to people that they don't like, something they don't like. So again, segmentation and understanding the behavior. All this starts with looking into the data. And Netflix, they announced they have $1 million US 10 years ago about improving their algorithm to make sure that they send the exact posters for the movies for the people that they make sure they like it. And look into nowadays, we as a normal user now, if you are, whatever we do, when you go to shopping or whatever you do, we don't call companies. If you have some complaints about specific products, there is a problems, we become so picky, right? We have so many demands for if we want to buy products. If you have a problem with it nowadays, you will not give a call to the call center. You will not call the company complaining about the problem. You will decide to take it to Facebook, to Twitter, right? So that's what is happening now. Data is available. Rather than having a data stored inside the organizations, the data is available in social network. How McDonald's now will know what people are talking about them if the customer is just not giving the feedback to them directly. They rather bring it, take it out to the Facebook and social network. Now it becomes their duties to make sure to monitor what people are talking about them over the internet, over the social network. So they need some people who understand and analyze people. Are they talking good feedback about them, negative feedbacks, what they are talking about? So that's why we need a lot of data scientists to look into the data. Moreover, the data, what we do right now in a social network or what we generate, it becomes majority of the data is unstructured data. So it becomes very challenging. Same thing with the Starbucks, right? So with whatever you do. So you write your comments, your things, whether it is positive or negative, you take it to Facebook. You don't go back to the company for complaining. So that's what it scares the companies nowadays. They need a new technology. They want to make sure to know what's going on about their businesses over on the online by looking into analyzing this data. So I'll give you here, there is a very fast here, if you want to see, there is people who are talking, can you see my screen? I'm not sure here if you, allow me to share this. This is a normal system that can analyze the sentiment of what people are talking about any product, anything on the internet. If you talk about Indonesia right now, within the data on the real time right now in Twitter, what people are doing, what they are talking about it, what is the good things, what is the negative things. If you want to look into this, how you can get it, you have to connect Facebook, Twitter, network, and Instagram. It will give you a lot of feedback to understand the situation. And of course, here you can see it classifying things in good things, positive things, what are the topics is going on, what other things are talking. More people right now are talking more about, of course, COVID-19 is dominating things, that the oxygen issue, children, people dying, tiring. Okay, and look into positive things. You talk about, some people talk about the vaccine, talking about energy, talking maybe some positive things between Malaysia and Indonesia. These are the main keywords that is going on right now over the internet. And you have the ability to look into the tweets right now. You see here, just now, this guy, he wrote something over in his Twitter account, something about that tweet. So you can get link, something, collect information is available over the internet, understanding it, analyzing it. That's what we need people to look or do as part of the task of data scientists. So that is a new trend again for the you see some these accounts. I will not, for privacy, I will not go deep into this accounts, but anyhow, you can look into the data is available now. It's our duty to understand what people are talking and how we analyze it, and we make sure to build this into very good decisions and enhance our processes, no matter what field or area we are coming from. And again, let's remember that. Sorry, I'm back to the sharing the other screen. Let's remember that what is big data? What is big data for some companies might be not big data for another companies. Of course, if you give, let's say, yottabytes of data to Google, it's not a big data because they have huge servers, they have very big supercomputers, they have capability to manage that data. If you give it to a small university, or some even countries, they might not be able to huge amounts. So the definition of data, again, and big data is still might be fuzzy to some users, depends where they come from. So that's it, in fact, for this, what I want to share you for the big data and the importance of analyzing and field of data science and what is expecting from people who will involve in this area. So that's it. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Okay, thank you, Professor Ahmed. Oh, wow, thank you very much for that interesting presentation. I agree with the statement on your slide, yeah. Statement from Michael Franklin say, big data is any data that is expensive to manage and hard to extract value. In presentation is complicated from big data, data analytics to decision making till statement analysis, process of data mining, and complete example. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, I recommend for audience, yeah, if you want ask question, you can write and in chat box in facility Zoom meeting, or you use raise hand in facility Zoom meeting. Okay, second presenter by Ikhwan Baidulawi Sumafta MCOM. The time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Miss Vera. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everybody. First, the Honorable Rector of Tunas Pembangunan University, Profesor Dr. Insinyur Tresna Priyana Sumardi, SMS, and the Honorable Vice Rector of External Affairs, Mrs. Danarti Karsono, and then the Honorable Dean of Faculty of Technique, Mrs. Annie, and then the Honorable Dean of International Faculty of Kyungdong University in South Korea, Professor Ahmed Al-Absi, PhD. And then thanks to Head of International Office, Mr. Yafi, who organized this event, and thanks for having me. Okay, my presentation, I will present about the smart education on smart cities. Okay, the first, the definition. The second slide, please. Okay, the definition of smart city, according to opinion from Zhu Yao Huang and Zhang, the smart city is the ability of a city to provide services to individuals or communities to explore in cyberspace, in providing information about the city. So they have the opinion that smart city is how two people can explore about the city, about the facilities, or about the environment, what can they use in that city by the explore in the cyberspace. And then from Meffrin and Cochrane, they said that the concept of city management through combining various technologies to create friendly environment and provide people with a better life. So they said that smart city has to have goals to make people better life for the people, for the citizens in that cities. And then from Professor Suwono, the expertise of smart city in Indonesia, he said that the smart city is the development and management of cities by utilizing ICT to connect, monitor, and control various resources in the city more effectively and efficiently to maximize services to its citizens and support sustainable development. So from Professor Suwono, he said that city must the previous slide. Yeah. Okay, he said that city has to have the sustainable development so that citizens can use the service to the maximum service. Okay, next, for the implementation of smart city, the first is from the Seoul Smart City. Yeah, Seoul has focused on internet in connectivity for easy access to city service. There are three components from the ICT infrastructure, and then integrated city management framework, and then the last component is smart user. From this, the ICT infrastructure, they maximizing the latest ICT infrastructure in achieving the success of smart city services. So Seoul, the city has used the latest ICT infrastructure. They try to development, they try to manage the latest ICT infrastructure so it can achieving the smart cities services. And from the integrated city management framework, it means that it's an urban management framework. All processes occur in harmony and with compliance with the rules. So the citizens in Seoul, the government has hope that the citizens can compliance with the rules so that the smart city can be achieved. And then from the users in Seoul, the government has the hope that citizens in Seoul can use the smart services or the smart facilities or smart urban in Seoul. And then the next implementation of smart city. Next, please. Yes, from the Amsterdam Smart City, they focus on improving city services to the community and improving environmental comfort and easy of work. Okay, there are 5 components in Amsterdam Smart City. The first is smart living. This used to minimize energy using and reduce emission levels like carbon dioxide. And then the second component is smart working. Smart working, it can be hoped that increasing the provision of employment, use of the technology, and increasing safety at work. And then the third, that smart mobility. From the Amsterdam, it's development of mobility and transportation facilities with low emission levels and smart infrastructure mobility. And then from the facilities, they develop the easy and comfort public facilities access like hospital, park, library, and etc. And then for the last component from the Amsterdam Smart City, there are the open data that the data source can easy to get and manage. So in Amsterdam, the smart city has to reduce the emission levels, and then they have the increasing of safety work for the employee who work on the Amsterdam, and then it can increasing the provision of the employment. And then from the mobility, they have to low emission level. They have and then start to building the smart infrastructure mobility. And from the facilities, they can get the easy access for the maybe we can, if we wanted to go to hospital, we can just access it from our mobile or our maybe our laptop, computer, or maybe if we wanted to search a book, we just need to find it from our phone. Okay, and then the next is the implementation of smart city in Lyon. Lyon is one of the city in France. They focus on friendly environments, cities with good government services. Okay, in this environments, they has to maximize energy management and use. And then for the government, there are 3 components. There are local government, there are citizens, and there are business peoples that it hope can make development of smart city in Lyon can be so easily to develop, because they need a smart user also to develop the smart city in Lyon, that the smart user can use all the services in the Lyon or in the cities. Okay, and then we go to the Indonesian smart city concept. Next. Yeah, next, please. Okay. Indonesian smart city concept, there are 3 components that needed to make a smart city concept. It's providing by the opinion of Professor Suhono, the expertise of smart city in Indonesia. There are technology, and then there are process and human. All these components should be support each other in realizing city goals through the implementation of smart city. This concept called cergas. Cergas is Indonesian, and it come from to word cerdas. Cerdas in Indonesian, that means smart in English, and also gegas. Gegas is quick. It means that smart city Indonesia has to have the smart in action and execute the city problems quickly so the problems can be solved properly. Okay, next, please. In the next Indonesian smart city concept, there are 3 steps. There are sensing, understanding, and then acting. Sensing is a concept to knowing and observe the condition of city. Use sensor to collect the data. So the first step to develop the smart city based on the cergas concept is we have to make a sensing or make knowing or observing the condition of the city that use the sensor, or maybe that use the by collecting the data. So in Indonesia, because there are a lot of cities, so each cities must be has that own problem. So we have to sensing, and then the second is understanding. It means we can understanding the city problems from the first step is by sensing. You can through the understanding, it means we can understanding the city problems through processes the data, so we can analyze what the problem from the city and how we can take the action on that problems. The last is the acting. Yeah. After we get the sensing, we get the data, and then we understanding the problems, and then we have to make an action, take an action quickly from the analysis that has been done, so the problem can be solved properly. Okay, and it can be doing continuously. Yeah, like some if we develop a software, there are sebelumnya mas, belum mas. Ya, oke. Yeah, this can be doing continuously because like if we develop the software, maybe there are BDCA. If you know that there are plan, do, check, and act, and it can be doing continuously. So we can make it over and over and over again to make better and better, and maybe the best smart city in maybe in our city. For example, in Solo, maybe the first problem is the traffic jam. Maybe in this year we make the smart transportation maybe, and then we have to sensing it again in the next year again to try the problems the problems of the cities after we finish solve the first problem that's about transportation. Maybe we get the new problems about maybe about the hospitality maybe. So this has to doing by continuously, so we can make better and better life in the smart city. Okay, next please. Okay, the next is ecosystems and services of cergas. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 components. Six components that can manage, that can interact this I'm sorry, these 5 components has to interact each other, so we can get the goals. The goal is make a smart city that has the healthy, safe, comfort, smart, sustainable, not jam, and etc. We start with the bottom first. There are hard infrastructure. The hard infrastructure is it can be defined to the basic facilities like energy, water, electricity, and transportation. In the smart city, in the Cergas concept, the hard infrastructure must be available in realizing smart city can be grouped in the three. There are land and buildings, and then transport and utilities network, and then information and communication technology. And then for the second step, there are second component. There are the city of the system of the city. System or software that develop and used to manage the city. As for the system used, there are some system, yeah. There are smart government, and then there is smart education, there is smart transportation, smart healthy, smart energy, smart surveillance, and then smart environments, smart society, and then smart commerce. All of them has to become a good system that we can make it better of smart city. And then the next component is soft infrastructure. That it means that human capital and institution that manage hard infrastructure, regulation, and the social living in cities. Some of them, there are the leadership and governance, and then innovation forums, and then network and community organization. Okay, and then the next component are the next component is in the ecosystems. It can be interpreted as a system that form because there are interaction. Yeah. There are interaction between the communities and the environment. For the examples, there are the public sector, and then private sector, communities, and then the third party. Okay. And then for the last is there is a stakeholder. It can be defined as people or organization that care, have an interest, and involved in some problems in human area. There are a lot of stakeholder, yeah, in smart city. There are government, and then peoples, citizens, and then tourists, professionals, and also the academics. Okay, next. Okay, for the next, we will talk about the smart campus, the one of the component in the one of the stakeholder in how to build the smart cities. Okay, next. The component of the smart campus, there are three components: the regulation, ICT infrastructure, and then the users. The regulation is from, it can be the rules about the system maybe, or the rules about the regulation, about how we can use the system in smart campus, or how we use it, or who can use it, or maybe when we can use the system on the smart campus. And also the main component, I think it's the main component for the smart campus. There is the ICT infrastructure, because why? Without ICT infrastructure, I think the smart campus can be developed well. And then also the users. Uh, if there is a users that cannot, if there is a user that cannot be used in the system, okay, and then the regulation and then ICT infrastructure is a waste. Okay, the three component has related and make the smart campus. And then the advantages of smart campus. Okay, the advantages of smart campus, there are the advantage. There are integrated system, integrated data, controlling system, efficient and lower operating cost. The integrated system, the integrated system make it easy for user. So user can use the system with the one portal, one gate. Yeah, so that the user can be used easily. Yeah, and then the integrated data. The second is integrated data. The integrated data minimize the manipulation of data. So there will not be maybe the data manipulation or yeah. So the data has been a valid data. And then the third is controlling system. In this controlling system, it's easy to control all the system, all the infrastructure, because the system, all the system has been integrated. Okay, and then the next advantage, there is efficiency, because the integrated system can make it efficient, because the student doesn't have to come to campus. They can access the system wherever they are. Yeah, they can access it from home maybe, or from a cafe, with the having the morning coffee morning maybe. And then the last is lower operating cost. Okay, from the that the system has been integrated, and then the data is integrated, so the employee in the campus, they doesn't need to print, so they can reduce the paper used, and then reduce the electricity used, because the maybe the in like this in the pandemic, this pandemic era, we can make a what is it said, teach our student, uh, we have to teach from home, and then work from home. So this smart campus has to start to develop by each campus. Okay, for the example of the smart campus, there are some next please. Okay, the smart campus application, it's just a little example, and there are more than this, more than it. There is a new student admission system that manage the new student to register in our campus. And then there is academic information system that can be used to manage after the student registered in the new student admission system. Their data will be sent by computer automatically on the academic information system. So the employee doesn't need to make a double input. Yeah. So it can be minimize the data manipulation. And then there is the scholarship online. So the student doesn't need to search the information about the scholarship by coming to campus. They can access it from the scholarship online, the information, and then there is the online examination system. So the students again doesn't need to come to campus. They just need to open their laptop, open their mobile, open their computer, and then can take the examination by online. Okay, and the next is about our new study program in Tunas Pembangunan University. Yeah, there is Smart City IT. Okay, it okay, it's established because the government has the new program in 2019. There are we have Indonesian government has a program of 100 smart cities, and then UTP Tunas Pembangunan University uh, has to establish the study program that can support that program. And then next. Okay, Smart City IT in UTB, what is it? This is the new program, the new study program in UTP that is concerned in the IT, information and technology, but we have to concern also on the development of the smart city. And this is the first study program in Indonesia, and the only one study program in Central Java. So in Central Java, uh, only in Tunas Pembangunan University that has this study program, and then we have a hope that we can produce graduates who are expert in smart system. And then next, in smart city IT, there are 3 concentrations. There is software and application development. So students learning, the student learning about how to develop, how to manage, how to make a program, uh, the mobile program or the desktop program, or maybe the web-based application, something like that. And then the second concentration, we have the cybersecurity and networking. It's concerned on the internet networking and also the cybersecurity. Like we know this digital era, there are the cybersecurity is a important thing, important to learn, I think. Yeah, because some in this era there are a lot of maybe hacker, cracker, and etc. And then the last concentration, we have robotic, microcontroller, and sensor. In this concentration, the student learn about how to make robotic from the line tracer. Maybe can make apa microcontroller from the microcontroller or from the sensor. Okay. Okay, and then the next is, yeah, this one we hope, it's our hope that uh, Smart City IT UTP and Kyungdong University, yeah. We hope we can collaborate more than this event. Maybe we can make the collaborate in student exchange, or we can make a visiting lecture, or we can collaborate in joint researches. Like the Mr. Professor Absi said, uh, this era there are a lot of data, the big data and etc. And we need we need help. We need to collaborate with the university that concerned about the big data. So in smart city, actually in smart cities, we cannot to develop it by ourselves. We need to collaborate with other university, maybe other institution, as especially we have to collaborate with the government. Okay. Yeah, I think that's all. Thank you for your attention, and maybe we can see you again in other events and other time. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ihwan Baidlowi Sumafta, MCOM. Thank you very much for that excellent presentation. Okay, hopefully Indonesian can take the example of implementing smart city from Seoul, Amsterdam, and can be applied to the progress of Indonesia, of the nation, which relate to realizing gas to 100 smart city. Okay, for all participants, if you have relative, friends, or sibling yourself going to college who are interested in smart city IT, okay, you can register with Universitas Tunas Pembangunan Surakarta. Okay, and next session, question and answer session. Hello, Prof. Ahmed, still in room Zoom meeting?
Yes, Robsa.
Okay. Because Prof. Ahmed has another event, yeah, maybe there is a question for Prof. Ahmed willing to be answered first. Okay. Maybe there is a question for Prof. Ahmed willing to be answered
from what
first.
I can see in the chat, there is a question
in chat box.
From Adi Noor could fit. What do you think is the description of technological solution with artificial intelligence to help transportation entrepreneurship problems using during pandemic?
Okay.
Artificial intelligence in general plays very big role in all fields, especially nowadays in the pandemic. I might share the experience here in South Korea. All mobiles are connected to the applications, to the central of the COVID-19 center. They can monitor movement and trace all patients, all possibility reports of the fevers, because the systems can detect the fever regularly and can give a chance or a prediction of whether there is a COVID-19 symptoms or not, reported automatically to the central COVID-19 center. They can trace also the outbreak, where the clustering, where the gathering was there, who was there in that place during the gathering. So then they do investigation, they check all this, who they met with whom, so they can trace and figure out and trace all people during the COVID-19 situation. So this is one of the examples, of course, to describe during this pandemic.
Okay. Second question.
There is another question also. Atika Yulia. What are the crucial points that government should do to prepare application big data in city planning? When it comes to big data, usually it needs infrastructure, because that's a problem, a huge amount of data. Usually the basic infrastructure which governments always, it might be their initiative to provide as a facility to any projects by organization is, I will say, cloud computing services. Because cloud computing services, it involves all the storage for all the data online. It gave a very good facility to be connected with the servers, with the sensors and all this. So I would say the cloud computing services, which is one of the main facility for adapting big data projects, which will be, of course, reflects back into big data management applications, whatever these applications come from. Yeah.
Okay. Third question from Mr. Tri Hartanto in UTP. My question for Prof. Apsi, what do you think, is there a concept of preventing the COVID-19 pandemic with an AI system so that the pandemic can be prevented?
Concept of preventing COVID-19. I think this is the same question as the previous one again, because AI prevents the COVID-19 by again tracing patients, understand their location, figuring out the future clusterings for the gathering, because I'm not sure what is the situation in Indonesia, but here all people who are you have to register with your mobile, because we know everyone, 99% of all Koreans, they have a mobile. This mobile must be registered. There is an application. Now the mobile, wherever you go, it can trace, it can know your location. If you are, let's say, you are just moving from one city to city, and there was you were in a location where there was an so many reported cases. So all these are monitored in real time. So by the time you reach, let's say, to the bus station, there is the COVID-19 committee or people who are really monitoring this in real life. Let's say their arrival, those who are coming from the airport, from the time they enter the country, they have to be quarantined for 14 weeks. Whether they maintain this curfew and the 14 days, sorry, not weeks, 14 days curfew or not, now the systems can predict the location and can make sure that you are not leaving the area where they have been reported for. Otherwise, you receive fine automatically. So everything is connected. Everything is analyze the data, knowing location details and all these situations. Yeah. Which taxi use, because even taxis are connected to the internet. So they know which taxi use, what type of credit card, which information, all these are used. Also, some systems, the cameras, they know you are using a face mask or not. You know, they can detect the social distance. If there is a very close distance between two people or three, the system, the measurement system, they can also classify all this together. So
Okay.
I think this is what is in my mind so far, but of course there is different applications and useful usages for that.
Okay, Prof. Absi, yeah, I agree with you, because the government awareness to accelerate digitalization in the government system with integrated program can be equitable and cost effective in monitoring COVID-19 cases. Okay, and then question from Alessandro for Mr. Ihwan. In your opinion, can a smart city in the city of Solo be fully implemented? How to analyze smart city goes well?
Okay, thank you for the question from Alessandro, right? Yeah. Okay. How to analyze the problem in Solo to make the smart city going well? The first, we need to try to analyze in the government, how to the regulation, how to the development on the city, actually in Solo, how they want to manage, or to they want to develop the city, and how about the regulation, and after that we can make the decision, like the my presentation, like before, there are sensing, so we have to try to make collect the data in that city, so we can make the analyze the data, and then we can make the how to we can develop, or we can support the government to make the smart city in that city, maybe in Solo. What the problem of the in Solo, maybe the actually in maybe in the developing system, or maybe in uh, the what is that in education, maybe So we have to try to learn about the city, and then we can try to find the problem, and then we have to analyze. We have to analyze the data, and then we have to take an action to make the smart city, especially in Solo, maybe it will be going well. Okay, I think that's my opinion.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ihwan Baidulawi. Okay, Prof. Abzi, what do you think about in the past oil was the most valuable resource in the world? Useful oil for life, used in government, company, vehicle, to even the small sector. But now there is an if statement: data is the new oil. What do you think about it, Professor Absi? Statement. What do you think about statement? Data is the new oil. Kok tes. Sorry, Mr. Absi not here. Okay. Hello,
Okay,
Mr.
now it's
Absi.
okay. Yeah,
Okay. On monitor
yeah.
ya.
I heard the question. So the question is, what is the latest trends nowadays in technology in the areas that you mentioned? So I will say big data and cloud computing, this specialization goes all the way together, because to have big data analytics, or big data processing, you need cloud computing. So they go together. Then I will say data privacy and cybersecurity. This is also one of the, because even if you have data, you have big data, but still you want to make sure this data is secure.
Okay.
So this is again another field. And of course, IoT, the third one. And I'll put it this way: these three are the most dominated ones. When I talk about big data, it is understood. You're talking about big data processing, with how you store and manage the data, how you analyze it, which involves, of course, the artificial intelligence and machine learning. Okay. So that's how you look at it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Professor Abzi. Okay, question from me, yeah, for Mr. Iwan Baidulawi. Okay, in smart campus in UTP, Universitas Tunas Pembangunan Surakarta, how smart campus in UTP can help university reduce the increase in pandemic cases?
Okay, I think the smart campus in our university, it can actually, from the online learning, maybe we can see that the students doesn't need to come to campus, like I said before. Yeah, the students can learning about the material, or can learning from the lecturer from home by online, maybe. Actually, in UTP, we use Zoom. There are some of the provider that we use to make the video conference. So the students and the lecturer doesn't need to come to campus, so they can teach and learn in their home. So I think it can decrease the COVID-19 pandemic. And then in the office, the student who needs maybe the graduated letter, or LOA, letter of exception, when they registered in our system, they just need to print it by themselves. So they doesn't need to come to campus. They doesn't need to come to doesn't need to campus, yeah, and they just need to access it by their laptop or their mobile at home. So they doesn't need to mobility, and we can decrease the disease of this pandemic in COVID-19. Okay, thank you. I think that's all.
Okay, thank you for the awesome answer, Professor Absi, Mr. Ihwan Baidulawi. Okay, I will read the conclusion of this webinar. Conclusion presented by Prof. Absi, yeah, from big data consisting of unstructured data can be used as data analysis to be used decision maker. The scientist process of transforming data into insight for making better decision or goal, and then process into business intelligence with business analytics, coverall analysis with artificial intelligence. Okay, in the past, Gartner once said the big data has three characteristics or attributes known as 3V, namely volume, variety, and velocity. But however, along with development of the characteristic of big data, it also developed into 5V, namely volume, variety, velocity, veracity, and value as that by Prof. Absi. Example of the application of big data, that is a promotion, healthcare monitoring, and other. Confidence of the prediction as well as the prediction is important. Then decision is needed to process unstructured data. Okay, and then conclusion presented by Mr. Ihwan Baidulawi. Implementation of smart city. In Seoul Smart City, there are ICT infrastructure, integrated city management framework, and smart user. And then implementations in Amsterdam Smart City. There are smart living, smart working, and smart mobility, and then public facility. Finally, environment city with good governance service. In Lion Smart City, in smart environmental ecosystem and service of Chargas, goals healthy, safe, comfort, and smart. And existence from stakeholder and other many components to create a good smart city. Okay, the event has almost come to end, but as the famous Cesare Pavlov's quote, we don't remember days, we remember moments. Well, I believe that about everything, ladies and gentlemen, we have finally come to the end of our occasion. It has been a great day and wonderful afternoon with all of you. Again, thank you all for your presence. God bless and good day to each and every one of you. Thank you. Keep healthy. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Mr. Absi, for your time.